Right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We have created a wonderful script that we're going to try to stay to. We are going to be recording this video, so I hope that you all enjoy it. Hi, Tom. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
All right. So thank you all so much for being here. Welcome. This is our first virtual meeting ever. We are new to this, but we're going to try to do our best. Welcome everyone to the September 2020 monthly meeting of the Hearing Loss Association of America, Central Oklahoma chapter, which we lovingly refer to as the HLAA. My name is Anna Covey, and on behalf of the entire board, I am so glad you're here. We would like to thank our friend and longtime member, Becky Young. She is a registered CART provider from Total Access Captioning. And she wanted me to remind everyone that live captioning is not easy or perfect, but she is exceptional, and we are so grateful that she could join us. For those of you who are new, our chapter experienced a major boom last year. We moved our meeting location to the Will Rogers Exhibition Center, complete with free catered lunches, great speakers, and a hearing loop courtesy of Assist2Hear. We went from 15 friends at a meeting to well over 50 at every meeting. We also gave away more money to scholarship winners and gave away free hearing aids, $7,000 worth of hearing aids. It was a blast, and we can hardly wait to get back together in person. But 2020 has been a little bit different. It's been a tough year for all of us. The coronavirus has changed the world in so many ways. Some of our members have been in major isolation since March in their assisted living centers, and others have had family members who were hospitalized with COVID-19. We decided to put the safety of our members first by canceling our amazing in-person meetings, and we hope to start those again in January. So for now, we are trying some Zooms, and this is our first virtual meeting, so we hope that you'll smile along with us as we try our best. Small program note, this meeting is being recorded. We will be adding the recording to our YouTube channel, which will be available soon. But please hit the mute button now if you have not done so. And please tap on the chat button if you have any questions that you want to ask. Oops, I lost my screen. If you have any questions that you want to ask, we'll be asking those to our audiologist after. I'd like to start our meeting first. We usually do this at our first meeting of every year, is introduce our board members. They volunteer for our chapter month after month, year after year. So Elaine Lanes, if you want to wave, is our newsletter editor, and she would love to hear all about your hearing loss stories or special events in your life, like anniversaries or little ones. We would also like to let our professionals know that Elaine is happy to share special events with our members too. If you have resources that you want to share or an upcoming event like a grand opening or new technology that we would like to know about that, just let Elaine know. Sylvia Frank is here. Sylvia is part of our membership committee and won the national award for, it was called the Spirit of the Hearing Loss Association. So she is a pretty big deal. We're so glad she's here. Nancy Landrum is right next to her. Nancy's right next to her. Nancy is part of the membership committee. She's the membership co-chair and led our beloved Hearing Helpers Room and team for years, putting real life-saving products in the homes of Oklahomans struggling to live with hearing loss. Sharon Hendricks is here. She leads our scholarship committee, and she's also our chapter's webmaster. Please go check out her hard work on our beautiful website, which is oklahomahearingloss.org. That's one word spelled out, oklahomahearingloss.org. We've also just added a membership form online. So very easy, fill out your name and we'll send you some info. Patty Burns, I'm not sure if Patty's here yet, but she was our long-serving president for years and currently helps lead our membership committee as co-chair. She is a wonderful representative and works for the Hearts of Hearing organization here in Oklahoma City. So we're glad that she could be here. Pat Fennell, she has been our chapter member for 10 years and a member of our fundraising committee. If you would like to sponsor one of our spring meetings or become a scholarship matching donor, please contact Pat. She can absolutely help you with that. Bob Quattro is here. He's in the top corner. He's having a little trouble with his sound, but he's here. He has been a chapter member for 3 years and a member of our Access and Awareness Committee. If you would like to stay connected with your civic leaders, the Access Committee is a great place to get involved. Finally, I would like to invite Ron Hendricks, our treasurer. If you would like to say a really special hello to Ron, there is a donation button on our website if you like this meeting and want to help in a simple way. Every dollar helps, and 20s really help, so we're just happy that you could be here. Ron is our program chair, and I'm going to turn the microphone over to him. Ron, if you could, go right ahead.
Hello, and welcome to all of our guests today. Okay, can you hear me so far?
Yes.
Okay, we're pleased to be joined today by some professional audiologists. Has Dr. Pam joined us yet? We had Pam Matthews from Pro Hearing was scheduled to join us. She has 2 great locations in Oklahoma City. Is she here?
Yes, I'm here.
Good. Oh, hi, Pam. Good. You have 2 locations here in Oklahoma City, one north and one south.
That's correct.
Visit her website at prohearingok.com.
Mm-hmm.
We're also joined by Dr. Calyn Russ and Dr. Kurt Kallies of Hearing Healthcare in Shawnee, Oklahoma. Dr. Russ has a passion for audiology and is a hearing care patient herself, and making her, she's a very uniquely suited person for her patients' lives. Dr. Kallies is a major supporter of hearing loop technology in the city of Shawnee, ensuring hearing access for everyone. Visit their website at hereforlife.com. That's hereforlife.com. And finally, we're joined by Cassidy Floyd. She's one of our 2020 scholarship recipients. Cassidy is studying in Northeastern State University in Tahlequah. Cassidy, we're really grateful to have you here too. I'm looking forward to hearing you. So, Anna. I think it's time to try to get on some of our questions. Anna,
there we go. Yes, I'm sorry. I hit mute accidentally. Let's get to our questions. If time allows, we'll be asking the panel your questions afterwards. So there's a chat button down there if you'd like to ask a question. Each panel question will be asked by members of our board, and we're going to start with Sharon.
Hello, everybody. Our first question is for Dr. Matthews. Dr. Matthews, thank you for being a loyal chapter member for so many years. We appreciate your being here today. The coronavirus pandemic has changed so many things. How has the virus changed audiology in Oklahoma and beyond?
Hi, thank you for having me here today. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So the epidemic has made hearing healthcare a lot more challenging. The best thing that's come out of it is now we can do telehealth for our patients to help with remote programming and remote appointments. So that's been a huge plus for those hearing aid wearers that are open to that. We've also, most of the offices I know have instituted curbside service as well. So patients do not have to come into the office if they're not comfortable. Audiology is fantastic that we can control patient flow. So we're able to follow the recommended guidelines for prevention with sanitation measures and restrict how many patients come in at one time. So I think we've had some good things come out of it. The bad thing is the masks make it so much more challenging for those with hearing loss to follow our conversations and conversations everywhere.
Well, thank you, Dr. Matthews. Elaine will ask the next question.
Yeah, this is, my name's Elaine, and I wanted to ask Dr. Russ. Is Dr. Russ here?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I was reading the wrong name. Thank you. But anyway, we're all having to wear masks. It's like the world is covered with masks. And of course, that makes it very difficult, if not impossible, for a lot of people with hearing loss. You know, people, I've read an article that says, you know, as you go on through hearing loss, you just automatically, without even realizing it, you start to learn to lip read, at least somewhat. And of course, that's completely defeated with masks. And I was wondering, have you seen clear masks? I've seen articles about clear masks, and I was wondering if you've seen that and if you have any thoughts on that.
Yes, we certainly have seen clear masks. We actually have several of them here in the clinic for use for our providers, myself and Dr. Kallies, and I think they're a great thing. They do still attenuate the sound a little bit, so it does still make it a little bit, you know, more difficult to hear through those clear masks. But you know, the use of lip reading in that situation, I think, is tremendously beneficial. They've been a great thing, and I know that there are actually some places on Etsy and things like that where people are sewing their own and selling them. I know there was a huge backlog on those clear masks for a while. They were on back order, and you really just could not get a hold of them for the longest time. So, you know, Etsy, I think, is a great place to check out as well. And those are just small little local businesses that are sewing their own clear masks, and so that is an opportunity. Now, I will say they do fog up, and that's still a little bit of an issue. Using some Dawn dish detergent tends to help with that, with the fogging, but you're still going to get a little bit of fogging. So that part's still, you know, less than ideal, but it does help tremendously.
Well, thanks, Dr. Russ. And a friend of mine gave me one more little question here. In the Daily Oklahoma newspaper several weeks ago, back in August, the Huff Hearing Institute was getting together with other fundraisers or grants and supporters, and they're working on what's called a hearing loss pill known as NHPN-1010, and they're talking about it alleviating or at least mediating some types of hearing loss. Have you heard of that? And if you have any thoughts on that?
You know, I have not heard a lot about that at this point in time. That's definitely something worth looking into and researching. That's actually new information for me.
Yes, it's new research, and so I don't know how far they've gotten with it. But
thank you. Yes, that's definitely something we'll be looking into.
Thank you. Okay, Anna.
Okay, Wanda, I think you have the next question.
Okay. Hello, Dr. Kallies. Thank you for joining us. Hearing loss is a hard thing to admit for many people to lead and can lead to struggles and isolation. What is the best advice for someone to give to a spouse or friend about coming to see an audiologist for the first time?
Well, thank you for bringing that up, because that's something we hear all the time. Either the person says, how can you make my spouse come in and get a hearing test? And we can't make somebody do that. They have to want to do it. So many people put it off. And we like to encourage people to think about it as just taking care of your overall health and having your hearing checked before you have problems, for one thing. A lot of people, they don't seem to want to find out what their problem is, because they think there's a stigma against hearing loss, and so they just do nothing about it. So the first step is just coming in and finding out, even before you start having problems, and start getting used to taking care of your hearing health. The audiologists do a lot of training, and we're here to make your life better. So it's not about pointing out problems that you have. We're about making solutions for the problems and issues you have and preventing them. A lot of times if people come in early, we can stop some of the problems that they have later on. And so we just want to encourage people to get in early.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. Sharon, I think you have the next question.
Yes, my question is for Cassidy. Hi, Cassidy. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're very hopeful for your very bright future. For years, there's been a terrible stigma attached to hearing loss. Many people are embarrassed of their hearing device, or even worse, don't use it at all because they don't want anyone to see it. Did you ever struggle with that stigma? And what would you say to students who might be embarrassed or are struggling with their own hearing loss?
So I got my first hearing aid the summer before 7th grade. And going into 7th grade, it was really hard, like wearing my hair up and having people see my hearing aid. It really, like, people judged me. They were like, oh, only people who are older have hearing loss. And I'm like, no, I have a hearing loss. I was born with it. And with this hearing aid, my world is different. I hear so much better. I hear sounds that I couldn't hear when I was younger. And the way I dealt with it was that, like, I have to have it. So what other people thought to me didn't mean anything. What I thought meant the most. I have to have my hearing aid for me to go on in the world. Having my hearing aid was the best thing that ever happened to me. And what I would tell someone is to just wear your hearing aid. You have to have it. It's who you are. Having the hearing aid makes you who you are. So.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Cassidy. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ron will ask the next question.
Thank you, Sharon. Sorry, I had to unmute. Dr. Matthews, you and I have known each other for quite a little while now, and I'm really grateful for your support of our local chapter. Technology is getting better every day. So my question is, what are some cool gadgets that are coming up for hearing aids, and what are available now and what might be available in the future?
That's a great question. Hearing aids, we're living in an exciting time with hearing aids. We have helpable hearing aids that help with fall detection. They have a Find My Hearing Aid function. We have Bluetooth where we can have phone calls streamed into our hearing aids. We have devices that have sensors built into them that can help with hearing better when you're walking and moving around. And there's a lot of accessories, including the Rogers pen and other accessory tabletop microphone that you can use in restaurants and with the TV that can help you hear better in a wide number of situations, especially in background noise, because that's usually the boon for most of us hearing aid wearers.
Wow. Thank you, Dr. Matthews. Let's see, Nancy, I think, is going to ask the next question.
Hello, everyone. My question is for Dr. Russ. One of the most important things that we hearing impaired people can do for ourselves when we visit the audiologist is to tell the audiologist exactly what we're struggling to hear, so that you can help us then to choose the perfect technology for our hearing needs. What are some of the most common things your patients were missing out on when they come to you for hearing aids the first time?
Absolutely. So thank you so much for bringing that up. It is so important when a patient comes in to see an audiologist for the first time that they really get into the specifics of what types of environments they are struggling to hear in. I really want to know, details about your lifestyle, the types of activities that you're involved in, all the things that you need and want to hear that you are not hearing, so that I can make a good recommendation on the technology for you. So I hear patients a lot, mention things primarily about their family members, missing out on their grandchildren's voices, not being able to hear, their daughters and their sons or friends that stop by. And, you know, a lot of times, even just the sermons at church, you know, I know that as patients get older, going to church on Sunday is something that's really important. And it really, it causes problems in terms of just the experience and the message when you cannot hear the sermon. So that's one that I get a lot. Of course, the TV, just, you know, especially in the days of COVID-19, seems like we're spending a lot of time at home watching TV and movies and things like that to occupy time. And when you can't hear and understand the television, it definitely cuts into the experience. So I would say that's a big one. And then the last one I thought of is really just sounds of nature, things like the leaves rustling, the birds chirping. You know, people who used to really enjoy going out and walking and doing things outside are not getting the same experience that they once were because they can't hear those same sounds. So, you know, getting as specific as you possibly can with your audiologist about the things that you are wanting to hear and missing out on, so important.
What about music? Because some people are just, you know, they miss the music. Are there special hearing aids or programs for music, listening to music?
Absolutely, yes. Always, you know, a separate program can usually be built into the hearing aids to help for listening, you know, to music. On occasional circumstances, if we have musicians who come in, we'll actually have them bring their instrument with them and have them play so we can fine tune it in the office while they're playing the instrument. Kind of try to, you know, see if they're able to pick up on the sounds and things that they need and want to hear. So yes, absolutely. Music is a big one and it's an important one.
Thank you very, very much. Elaine will ask the next question.
Thank you.
Okay, what I'm seeing is question 7. Is that the one we're on? Well, anyway, Dr. Matthews, I'd like to ask you about noise. I know even if somebody already has hearing loss, they need to protect what's left. And so there's still an issue with loud noises, even if someone has hearing aids or other hearing assistants. And so do you folks give people information on how loud is too loud and what types of machines or equipment or anything that people should be careful of or avoid? Can you give us a little of that information? How long is too long? How many decibels is 2 decibels? I've read different articles about that, and there seems to be some differences about how loud is damaging and what's not damaging. And are there certain frequencies that are more damaging than others? You know, there's just a lot of questions about noise.
That's true. We find that it has to do with how loud the sounds are and for how long you can be exposed. If it's something that's around 85 dB, you can be around it a little longer before it's going to cause damage compared to something that's 100 dB. So an airplane taking off would be around 110 or 120 dB. A loud restaurant's going to be around 85, or a bar that has a lot of people in it. So it doesn't take a whole lot of noise before it can be dangerously loud. So there are apps for your phone that have a decibel meter in them, and you can actually measure how much noise there is in different environments to help be aware of that. All of the modern hearing aids have built-in compression to protect you against very loud sounds, but they're designed for speech, so they're slow-acting compressions. They're not made for using for gun firing and things where you have a fast impulse sound. So we really try to help educate the patients to be aware and what resources they have where they can stay on top of that. And we definitely recommend removing the hearing aids when you're in dangerously loud environments and using appropriate hearing protection to help save. I'm not aware that the frequency level has anything to do with the damaging. It's more how loud it is. It affects our high frequencies because of when sound enters our ear, it comes in, the little bones in the middle ear vibrate the fluid in the inner ear, and it happens to be where the high frequencies are. So we see damage to the high frequencies, whether it's a low frequency or a high frequency that's very loud.
And as far as protection, say you're going to use a piece of loud equipment, for instance. You're going to trim something in the yard, or you're going to have some loud equipment. Are earplugs any good? I mean,
Yeah, you can get earplugs at the drugstore, the little foam ones that roll up and you put in your ears. And if you use them appropriately, you'll get about 20 to 25 dB attenuation with that.
Oh.
If you're doing anything very loud, you really need to use muffs, and you can use the little roll-up foam earplugs in addition to the muffs for a little extra protection. So for gunfire, those little ones are really not going to be adequate. So it depends again on how long you're going to be around the noise and how loud is the noise. So 20 to 25 dB attenuation is very good for lawnmowers and very good for the power tools that we typically use. Probably not a nail gun or shooting a gun. You would want to use heavier protection around that.
Pam, thank you so much for that question. I want to go ahead and get Dr. Kallies' answer on that as well, and Dr. Russ. How do you all feel about noise? Because it is just a big topic for us. And you're still on mute, Dr. Kallies.
Get it unmuted here so you guys can hear what we're saying.
Yeah, so we're getting into a noisier society all the time, and there's so many things that people just don't even think about, whether it's kids playing in the playground, shouting in each other's ears, the cell phones that we're using, the little music players, the little wireless earbuds that go in their ear. It's real hard to control the sound level on those and even be aware of how loud it is. So the sound level meters, that like the apps you have on your phone, it's hard for you to measure what it's actually doing down in your ear canal. And for children, they have a smaller ear canal, and so it's going to build up the sound pressure a lot quicker and be more likely. Parents need to be especially aware of that so they don't cause damage to their children. There's just around the house, vacuum cleaners, a lot of those have excessive noise.
Even things, such as like fitness classes. I think that that's one that people forget about a lot. They're just going to the gym to work out, and, they're not thinking anything about the level of the music in their fitness class actually being damaging.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to move to Wanda for a question for Cassidy.
Cassidy, hearing loss can be lonely sometimes, and family support can make all the difference. What did your family support mean to you growing up with a hearing loss? And can you give an example of different ways they supported you?
So this summer, I lost a lot more hearing than I have in the past. And this summer, I was pretty upset for about 2 to 3 days, and my family really didn't know how to approach me because they don't have a hearing loss, and they didn't know how to make me feel better. And then one day, my dad came in, and he was like, Cass, sorry, I'm getting emotional, but he was like, Cass, it's okay. Like, it's who you are. You're perfect. You might have a hearing loss, but you're still who you are. It makes you who you are. And just hearing that just changed it. So I'm okay with having a hearing loss. Sorry.
Oh my gosh, Cassidy, both of your answers have given me chills. And let me just stop really quick to say that we are so glad to welcome you into our family. We really want to support you and support your family through this, because you are right. We hear a lot about hearing loss with older adults, and we know how difficult that is. Myself as a 45-year-old, I know how difficult it is, and as we get older. But gosh, dealing with this when you're young and through school, we are going to have an entire episode really centered on classrooms and students. And we are just so glad you're here, and we are going to just love you like you wouldn't believe. So we're just so excited that you're here. Thank you for joining us, Cassidy. So there was one other question I wanted to ask, and this is going to be a question. It can be for all the audiologists, actually. So we really appreciate your advocacy with hearing loss in your community, especially you, Dr. Kallies. Kallies, I know that you've been doing a lot in Shawnee, Oklahoma, with hearing technology. Talking about hearing loss is tough, though, even with our own family members. And I would love to get 3 favorite tips for people struggling to communicate with family members and coworkers because of their deteriorating health or hearing loss. So what can people do when they're struggling to communicate with their own families? We'll start with Dr. Pam.
I think the most important tip is to get the person's attention first before you talk to them. If you can be in front of them where they can see you, it's a whole lot better. And if you're within 4 feet, it's going to be better yet. And when it's an important conversation, you can have them repeat it back to you to be sure that they did catch the content correctly.
Wonderful. Dr. Russ?
I definitely would say distance plays a factor as well. Assuming, you have family members currently during the days of COVID-19 that live in the same household with you. You want to try to get within 3 to 5 feet if possible. The distance definitely, makes a big difference in terms of your ability to be able to hear somebody. So the closer you can get to that person, the easier it's going to be to hear and understand. Outside of that, I realize, most of us are trying to maintain 6 feet of distance. So you just do the best you can, it's 6 feet, but definitely trying to minimize that distance between 2 people when you're trying to talk with somebody who has a hearing impairment is going to be a big deal.
Wonderful. Dr. Kallies?
So when somebody's trying to communicate, if they will slow down a little bit and maybe speak a little bit louder, but just a little bit. You don't slow down a whole lot and don't speak a whole lot louder. So a lot of people end up shouting at somebody who has a hearing loss, and that usually makes it worse. Don't say never mind if somebody doesn't get it. It's very frustrating to hear never mind. The other thing is try to reduce the background noise. So if the TV's on or the air conditioner's on, anything like that, or if you're in a group with the family and everybody's talking and you want to talk to someone, say, let's step out in the hall so we can talk better. You don't have to say, let's step out in the hall because I have a hearing loss. It helps both of you. It's just kind of common courtesy. So even people with normal hearing are going to do better in these situations. So it helps everyone. In public settings, if people will use a microphone, a lot of times you'll go to a place and they'll say, oh, I'll just talk loud. I don't need a microphone. Have them use a microphone. It helps everybody there. On and on. There's lots of things people can do. But if they'll just make the effort and get feedback from the person that they're talking to, and say, if somebody says, huh, or what, say, what can I do to make it easier to talk? Do I need to talk louder? Do I need to talk slower? What can I do to help you understand me?
Man, those are fantastic tips. I'm going to also ask Cassidy that question. Cassidy, what are some tips that you have for some friends, who, or your family to communicate better with you? Do you have any tips for us?
So my hearing loss is in my left ear. So whenever people talk to me, I want them to be on my right side. And then I'm a big lip reader. So I want them to talk slower and for me to be able to read their lips. And in class, if my professors walk around the classroom and they're behind me, I don't hear them, especially with masks now. I do not hear anything when they are behind me. But when they're in front of me, I hear a little bit better with the mask on. But mostly for my friends, I like to have them on my right side where my hearing is better than my left.
Cassidy, great answer. I also have a special guest here from the National Hearing Loss Association. She is one of the major, if not the biggest, hearing loop advocate in the country. So she said that she also has some great tips for communication. This is Juliet Sturkins. I'd love to have her answer that question.
Thanks, Anna. And I so agree with Dr. Kallies, what you were saying about microphone use. I've been in meetings where people indeed say, can everybody hear me now? and then they promptly lower their voice. And then, of course, people can't hear anymore. And the word "never mind" is a killer for any conversation. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay, so
It's a little choppy. Your microphone is just a little bit choppy.
okay, but my only comment, and sometimes it's good to put people you live with in the same situation. On your smartphone, you can record what sound sounds like. So you could be in a restaurant and use the recorder on your phone and record the conversation across the table and then play it back. And it can sometimes be eye-opening. If people only understood that hearing aid users go through the world using microphones, and if your microphone isn't close to the speaker, you don't hear well. So Cassidy, for your friends, that might be something that you could try. You know, use your phone, make that recording, and then walk away from that recording. And it's just eye-opening.
I love that answer. Thank you so much, Juliet. We are definitely, it sounds like we've got a lot of chat over here about technology and how that can help. So I'm sure we're going to have a huge show just on that. We also had Kay Griffin, who wanted to address Elaine's question about the pill to restore hearing. So Kay, are you there?
Yes. What I wanted to say was that the doctor who did my implant in March of last year, Dr. Kopke, with the Huff Ear Institute.
Well, we lost you a little bit, Kay. Oh, there we go.
Was one of the persons who was working on that pill to restore hearing, and he resigned from seeing patients, so he's no longer seeing me because they were in the final stages of that research. I can't say a whole lot about the pill or the research. I don't know a lot about that. I know that he is a reputable physician in a reputable agency, and I would tend to trust what information is available about that pill. My understanding is that it helps to regrow the hairs, but that's all I know about it.
You know, we are really trying to get someone from the Huff Institute to join us and talk a little bit about that. So that will be a big deal. We'll invite all of our audiologists and friends, as many as we can find, for that. Because if I'm sure all of you know, but I always tell people who don't know about hearing loss that we have these little hairs in our ears, and when they get damaged, there is nothing to grow them back now. So if you go to that concert or are around that lawn equipment every day, that hearing loss does not come back. That hearing doesn't come back. So we really need to watch that. So thank you so much for pointing that out, Kay. I really appreciate it. We've got time for one more question. We're going to finish with Nancy for our last question. And Nancy, I'd love for you to ask Dr. Matthews your question.
Got to get off of mute first. Okay, Dr. Matthews, this question is for you. The Hearing Loss Association of America and this chapter have supported Oklahoma audiologists for years by encouraging professional testing and hearing technology. As an audiologist and an HLA member, in your opinion, why are support groups like ours so important with the hearing loss community? And why should other audiologists offer the HLAA as a resource to their patients?
I think the Hearing Loss Association provides a huge benefit because sometimes we feel very isolated when we have hearing loss and we wear hearing aids. So having an association where there's other members that are like us that have similar problems is a huge reassurance, as well as an opportunity for education, as well as an opportunity to network. So I think it's a huge positive resource, and I would love to see a lot more audiologists be able to get involved with it. So I think it's something that they can offer to their patients and recommend. I know I have the newsletters in my office, so the patients have access to find out more about the Hearing Loss Association. And the fact that we're doing the Zoom and having more ways that people can get a hold of the information is helpful too, especially in the middle of a pandemic.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate you distributing our literature in your offices. That's extremely helpful.
Yeah.
When the hearing helper room was in operation, we always tracked our patients as to where our clients, as to where they heard from it. And lots of times, it's from the audiologists that display our information. And it's very difficult for us to make all the rounds of all the audiologists. But if you will call us or contact us and request brochures or other types of information, we'll be more than glad to see that you get that. Thank you so much for your answer.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you, Nancy, so much for that last question. And thank you all to all the panelists. Thank you, Dr. Matthews of Pro Hearing, Dr. Kallies, and Dr. Russ from Hearing Healthcare. And of course, Cassidy Floyd from Northeastern State University, straight from her dorm. We are just so glad that you all could join us. We hope to be a strong resource for you during this difficult time. So please visit our website where you can sign up to be a member, sign up for our newsletters, and even make a donation. If we can help in any way through this difficult time, or if you're isolated and lonely and would just like to talk, please reach out to us via Facebook message, phone, or email anytime. You can find all that information on the website. Ron?
Okay, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is, I think it's worked out pretty well for us. But I do urge you to try to stay in touch, because communication is so important for all of us, especially during this isolation time. Now, remember, next month we'll have another Zoom meeting, and that'll be October the 15th at noon. So we'll try to keep it just to an hour here. And that's the third Thursday of the month. So we're working on programs to make it exciting and interesting. So if you got a comment or an idea, let us hear from you. Thanks for coming.
All right. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.